Okay, I think we're supposed to be live. If anyone is there, let us know if you see us or not. I don't know if Kirk, you can check.
Yeah, I'm gonna check for you real quick.
Yeah, I think we are live. Definitely. Yeah, we're definitely live. I can see it on my different screen here.
Cool.
Okay, so we are slowly going to get into this here. We have Kirk, myself. I just came back from Japan. Kirk has been busy too. He's got a new motorcycle and everything.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I forgot to announce it in Instagram though. So hopefully, maybe Kirk, I guess it's a bit too late now to announce in Instagram, but they'll come as we begin to start talking here. Oh,
Yeah.
30, I think 30 people have logged in, so that's great.
Yeah, I see.
Again,
Yep.
if you guys can see us and hear us clear, can you just give us a thumbs up or just say hi? And then also, sometime the volume is different. Maybe I'm too loud or Kirk is too loud or whatever. Just let us know and give us a thumbs up or just say hi to us. We'd love to say hi back. All right. So,
Scott is coming in from Australia. It is probably what, like 4 a.m. there? If my math is right, I don't know. I have a cousin in Brisbane, and so I check the time there every so often.
yeah, we have people from all around the world. I think maybe Kirk has even more people from around the world. I got a bunch of people from Japan oftentimes logging in sometime, but depending on the time, what is the time there now? It's 3 o'clock in the morning. So obviously no one's gonna be. I don't think anyone will be watching
No.
our YouTube here, but
Glenn is
but
coming from Hawaii. Welcome in. Welcome everyone coming in.
yeah,
And I don't want to butcher her name, but Benko from Scotland. Welcome in.
nice, nice, nice. Yeah, let us know where you're from. Give us a thumbs up. By the way, that's always helpful for just spreading the news that we are live. We don't do it very often. Kirk and I think we did many videos together at the Tokyo Motor Show, and that was fun. We had so much fun there. But we don't do too many live stream
No,
together.
I
So
feel like if Dave retires from his full-time job, we could probably have a regular recurring live stream. I think you guys would love that. And I don't know, I would like doing that. He would probably rather be fishing when he retires, but
if we ever, right, you and I we love what we do, and until our body can't move, we'll probably still be driving
oh
a
yeah.
car or a motorcycle in your
Oh yeah.
case. But yeah, definitely. If I have more time, we should be doing live stream every week, maybe. Who
Yeah,
knows?
I would love to do that.
That'll be a
Yep.
bit crazy.
You have a full-time job outside of this. I do too as a dad. So it's like it's always hard for us to get together. And like even this was short notice. We kind of talked about it, I think, yesterday. And you were busy coming in. I'm still editing Crown Signia videos that go up in just a few days, but I'm heading to a GMC event tomorrow, my first ever, so I'm excited
Oh,
for
good.
that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, the Acadia, it's going to be in South Carolina, so it's not that far from me. So I'm like, hey, I don't have anything else going on, so I'm going
Oh,
to head up there for a couple days, drive the new Acadia, and sample
oh,
that family hauler. Will be
you know
good.
what? I was supposed to be on the event. I actually said yes, I'm gonna go, and then we had some kind of family conflicts. So I had to pull out.
Yeah,
So I was supposed to be there. It's supposed to be a nice site there for Acadia. So that's too bad. You and I could have done
that would have been a
something
lot of fun.
together.
Would have
Yeah,
been a lot of fun.
that would have been good. Oh, that's too bad. That is too bad. Let me see. There's some question. So how do I bring this show here? Question. Oh, I can bring the question up. Austin asking, was the RCF I was driving Japan a press car? Yes, it was a press car provided by Lexus, and I had it for about 3-4 days. Drove all around Kyoto and Tahara. In fact, we picked it up at the Tahara factory where it is produced, and then we drove it from there to Kyoto, which is about 2.5 hours away. Then we spent a couple of days driving around. So it was a real nice treat. I have not driven RCF. I don't know in how many years. They don't even have a RC in the press fleet, right? Right, Kirk. They don't bring that car around.
It's been so the last RC I drove was actually a flare yellow RC3 350 rear wheel drive, I believe. It could have been all wheel drive. Anyways, that was
Mm.
over a year ago.
Mhm.
And then when I first moved down to Florida doing this job, I was able to get an RCF for a
Okay,
week.
okay, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it was great.
That's a cool car. I liked it a lot more than I thought. I mean, having owned IS 500 and now the LC, I thought, hey, this can't be all that different. But surprisingly, it has its own character, and unfortunately, though, the price is almost around the price of LC, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard to justify that for some people. But anyway, Mike from Right Lane Hog just came to say hi, and also Chris, when you started making the compact pickup? That's a good question. That if it's a full EV compact pickup, we're still quite a few years away, but I mean, it would not be difficult engineering wise for them to design that. It's probably already in the pipeline. I'll bet you anything is it's going to happen next 3 to 4 years. But it's all depending on this EV versus gas war that's going on, and which one is going to win the ultimate consumers appeal. And I think that might dictate what's going to happen. Kirk, anything on that? Have you heard anything else?
I haven't heard anything. And in fact, we've heard multiple times from Toyota executives that it's not in the plans. Doesn't
Hmm.
mean it's not. It just means that they're not ready to talk about it, right? They're really careful about what they say. They're always saying, "Hey, we're studying the market," but the market, I mean, we don't do official studies, but we talk to so many people online and we know the general buzz about certain cars. And you and I both like the Maverick. It is a fantastic vehicle, especially the hybrid. There's
It's a
no
great car.
competition to it. I
No.
don't understand why no one's doing it. And the one competitor that it does have from the Santa Cruz from Hyundai, they they have hybrid technology. They've chosen not to put that hybrid technology in there. I don't know. There's just a lot of missed opportunities. Mazda had pickup trucks for a long time with Ford, that small
Mhm.
pickup truck, right? Subaru had the Baja and the Brat. I feel like the Maverick in so many ways feels like a Honda vehicle. It's super basic, it's cute, it's super functional, it's very
Mm.
efficient. I don't know why Honda's not doing anything like that either, even though they have good hybrid technology. So it's just very disappointing to have such a
Mm.
hot vehicle and all these companies could make a competitor and they're
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
not.
Not doing it. Yeah, I don't know. It's I think they have too many cars in the pipeline that they're trying to get it out. So it's just a matter of sequencing everything.
Mhm.
So let me just see if I can answer some other
Go
question.
ahead. Yeah.
Can you give us a more bona fide MR2 update, whether or not you will
Mhm.
actually see production? So, I mean, I think Kirk and I am on the same page with this one. I mean, Akio Toyoda, while he's still actively a chairman now, not a president, but still very influential, I think he's trying to get as many of the old nameplates to come back, Celica, MR2, FJ. I think these are all going to happen over next 3 to 5 years. The problem is that right now, because of the EV versus gas and which direction that car companies are going, that's kind of a bit of a barrier. A barrier because I think some of these cars were designed to be a EV, but now Toyota has announced a couple of different engines and saying that they're going to focus a lot on gas. And so if they want to switch back to gas and make an actual gas-powered MR2, Celica, and so forth, there might be a bit of an engineering shift. So I think those are the reasons why the information is it's a mixed bag. We get conflicting information from different sources from Japan. But I think Kirk, you can jump in anytime. But I think MR2 will definitely happen. There has been numerous reports from Japan, not just Best Car Magazine, saying MR2 will happen, Celica will happen. Sorry, I say Celica because I'm a Canadian. I think you guys say Celica. So I think those two nameplates will come back. I really think the Mini FJ, Mini Cruiser, Land Cruiser, I think that one is like even more 99.9% sure that it's going to happen. In fact, there was a part of Tahara plant that I'm not supposed to go, or I wasn't allowed to go because they were covered up for some new model that's somehow body on the frame. So let me think. What's body on the frame that we've been speculating for a while that's about to come out? It has to be the Mini Cruiser. So there's
Or
quite a
Forerunner, right?
or well, yeah, I could, yeah, but it was something else. They said it was something else we can't show you, or we don't want you to see, or it was all kind
It
of
was more
implied.
top secret than a potential forerunner, seemingly.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so that's what I think Mike was asking about that. Yeah, so no more. I don't know. Have you heard anything else, Kirk?
No, not really. It's been a bit quiet, but I think we'll get an announcement this year.
I actually think that either actually another big news is that Tokyo Motor Show, which is now called the Japan Mobility Show, is supposed to be every 2 years, which will be 2025. But they announced, thanks to Kirk's insight there, that they will have it again this year, but not necessarily to do with cars. Could be to do with technology. So
Mhm.
they could announce something like that at the show, but it doesn't matter who I ask. No one seems to know too much about this thing yet. So it's gonna happen. I think it has a higher chance of this happening than any other speculated cars we talked about, because Simon Humphries, the head of the design at Toyota, showed an actual mini Land Cruiser
Yeah.
FJ thing in the back, when he was doing a press conference,
Hmm.
and he wouldn't have shown that if it wasn't coming.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, let me see. Do you want to take any other questions, Kirk?
Oh, sure. Let me look in the chat real
Sure.
quick.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about the recall and the Japan safety testing stuff too. I know people are asking about that. That's a bit of a sensitive subject, but we'll definitely cover that today. So yeah, keep the questions coming. I can't see, some of these are so small I can barely
Giuseppe
see.
says, "What's Toyota's position about the USA Toyota dealerships additional markups?" Well, in Canada, they can't legally do it, right? They can only mark up
With
through
actual
packages, accessories, that
yeah.
sort of thing. I
Yeah.
mean, we see that in the United States as well,
Mm,
but we also see just random market adjustments for no additional features being added to the vehicle.
yeah.
What is Toyota going to do about it? Absolutely nothing, in my opinion. Sometimes there's talk about them limiting allocation to certain dealers if they're not, I don't know, if they're just being or too aggressive with the markups, but that's the model, and that model will also have the reverse effect when the market goes down. Right now they're making money while the sun is up, but the market's not always going to be like this. And so there's going to be a time in the near future probably where the opposite is happening, where dealers are marking down cars. It's happening with most other manufacturers right now. Nissan, Jeep. I just did the Gladiator review. They'll be coming out tomorrow. You can find those discounted. So yes, Toyota is not immune from market sways. They're just less affected compared to most manufacturers.
Yeah, I mean, with the inventory, creeping up, I think there's less and less of the markup happening. It's supposed to be
Yeah.
anyway, except for specialized cars. Like if you want the Land Cruiser First Edition, there's still a huge markup. But yeah, so there's not. I asked about this to head office Toyota. They said there's nothing they can do because the franchise or dealerships are not owned by Toyota. There's only so much influence they can do. But I think it's gonna settle down. It already has. It already has settled down quite a bit.
Mhm.
There's many dealers offering prices without markup in the
Yeah.
US.
Yeah. I mean, we're
So
seeing already discounts on the Tacoma in certain
yeah,
places.
exactly.
So it's happening. Yep.
Okay, so I gotta keep on showing some questions. Did I see the LBX Morizo? No, I didn't, because there was a small pop-up store in Tokyo. I didn't have a chance to go, but I did request to see if I can drive a LBX on my next trip, which will be November. I would love to drive that, drive a car that I haven't been able to drive. What else? What's your? I think we're kind of behind here, Kirk.
Mhm.
Okay, so should we talk about the Tundra?
Yeah, we can get right into it.
Maybe that's what I know people have asked me to talk
Mhm.
about it. So let me just set the foundation here. So just to give you guys the facts first, and not the speculation. So the facts is that you really, if you haven't seen Kirk's video watch that one. He talks about incredible details. But first, you have to remember this is a volunteer recall. People don't seem to realize there's a difference between volunteer recall and actual recall.
Mandatory.
Mandatory. So volunteer recall is when manufacturers thinks that there's some kind of problem that's going to become more serious or become more prominent, and they take preemptive action to recall, fix the cars. And then mandatory recall is when the government said it's so bad that we're going to force you to recall. So it's not a mandatory recall. Toyota is doing this as a bit of a precaution. So that means it also means that out of the 100,000 or so cars potentially affected, we don't know what actual percentage is. Is it 1%? Is it 10%? Is it 50%? No one knows. And believe me, I tried to get into this a little bit more, but I don't even think Toyota knows yet. So they're going to have to first diagnose these cars. They're going to tell the owners to show up, later on, because they don't have a solution anyway. And then when they come to dealership, they'll diagnose to see what percentage of these cars are actually having these problem with the stalling and rough engine and so forth. And then they'll be able to figure out and begin to diagnose, and then pare down to exactly what batch or what part of the engine is causing this problem. So that's the kind of first step. We're way too early for any of us to make any kind of a sound judgment on what's going on. But I will say one thing, which is I don't suspect it's all 100,000. It wouldn't be possible. Otherwise, we'll be hearing a lot more of it at the different dealerships and
for
so
sure.
forth, right? And I haven't. Secondly, they don't have a solution yet because they don't know exactly what's causing it. But what's puzzling people is the fact that it's affecting both LX, that's built in Japan. LX is built at Yoshiwara factory, not Tahara factory. It's a different plant. And then it's also affecting Tundra, but not the hybrid models. So the question is, why would it affect both U.S. and Japan-built cars? And my answer would be that it's most likely as a result of a part that's machined or built by a supplier. And because some of these parts for engine is it requires so much precision, it's possible that there aren't any U.S. suppliers that's been certified yet by Toyota to produce that part, which means there could be a whole bunch of different smaller machine parts that's being exported from Japan to both Alabama plant in the U.S., that's where the 3.5 is produced, as well as to the Lexus LX engine plant in Japan. And if that part or multiple of those parts are the one with the problem, then it will affect both countries. So that would be my speculation, why both Japan-built and U.S.-built cars are affected at the same time. And I also want to say that when you look at the engine, most of the engine parts are not produced by Toyota. Like honestly, like more than 90%. I think sometimes they'll do the engine block, but even that's often done by suppliers. So Toyota does the assembly, the final assembly, putting everything together and then installing it onto a car, but they don't really make most of the parts to do with engine. And so it is a Toyota problem, but to be frank with you, it is more likely a supplier issue. And that's why it takes also a little bit longer to figure out, because it's not quite within their short reach. So that's sort of a backdrop. I don't know, Kirk, you want to add a few more comments to that?
No, you summed her up way better than I could have. I'm just, I think about what's next. We talked about this over the phone yesterday. It's like, okay, well, even if it's, let's say, 0.1% of that 100,000, is there going to be an additional 100,000 recalled? Is it outside of those specified model years? Is it eventually going to affect the hybrid engines? And is it going to affect the new Lexus GX? Like, I keep asking and wondering, like, is it done and over with? Obviously not even close, because they don't even have a remedy, but where does this end? And I think about brand image. People buy Toyota trucks knowing, or at least believing, that they're getting a very reliable product. And I would say that they are most of the time, but this is not going to be doing any favors for their reputation. Right. But like you said, this is where a lot of people get it wrong. And I didn't talk about this in my video, is that it is a voluntary recall. People say in the comments, saying, hey, the other manufacturers wait till they get sued, or forced by the government to make a recall while people get stranded and potentially in life-threatening situations with a product that they know is faulty for these other automakers, and they don't recall it until their hand is forced. Toyota is getting ahead of the curve here, but yeah, people are not going to look at it that deep. They're just going to say, hey, Toyota's reliability, these trucks aren't the same as they used to be. Where's the V8? And this is something we can, I mean, there's so much we don't know and won't know for a long time. But when that recall came out, I had the Ram 1500 tungsten, but it has the new inline six engine. And I know it has nothing to do with V6 versus inline six, but I'm like, that engine is so much better than the Toyota V6, at least from a driving experience.
The drivability,
Oh my gosh, it's so smooth. It's so quiet, and it has so much power and torque. And it's like, man, you and I both love inline sixes, whether it's a Supra. You used to own the Supra. We love inline six in the Mazda CX-90 and 70. And now Stellantis has, and well, BMW products for that matter with the Supra. And then Stellantis has this incredible inline six as well. And Toyota has this storied history with the JC engines of having legendary inline six. And I don't know why they didn't go back to inline six, because this twin turbo V6 cannot be slotted or shared with front wheel drive architectures. So why don't you just make a better powertrain for rear wheel drive / 4x4 vehicles, which an inline six is, in my opinion. So I just want to throw that at you because you know a lot about inline sixes and also V6s. So take it away.
Yeah, so that actually brings up another question that people have been asking me: is there more? Could GX be affected? Could the hybrids be affected? Well, the unfortunate news is that most of the engine parts between hybrid and the non-hybrids are the same, except for the hybrid system itself. The actual machining, the parts, the supplier parts, all that are basically identical. And so if depending on what the root cause is of this problem, but if it comes down to a same supplier, let's say, that produce some kind of defective material or material with excessive debris, and that has been installed on same hybrid and non-hybrid models, then eventually the hybrids will get recalled. That's my suspicion. But it's also possible the hybrids are using different supplier or slightly different machining process, and therefore it hasn't had that problem yet. So that part we don't know. I don't probably even Toyota doesn't know yet exactly, because there's not enough data coming in. And also the other interesting thing is that the Land Cruiser 300 series, which is not sold here anymore, which have the same engine, have not had the recall. So that's puzzling. But that car came out 2 years before Tundra. And so is it possible that, again, it was using a different supplier or a slightly different manufacturing process? It's possible. So that's the puzzling thing, is it's like exactly which engines are affected and for what reasons and what are the real cause. I actually don't think anyone has the answer yet, including Toyota. They're trying to investigate this. And so part of the reason for recall is to bring these vehicles back into dealerships so they can diagnose it and pinpoint and find exactly what percentage of the cars are being infected. And they can then actually, put a camera into engine bay and look at the serial number and figure out what batch, there might be some kind of batch related issue. And so there's still a fair amount of diagnostic work to do, and then we can talk about it. So right now, if people are asking me what do I think of it, all I can say is that most likely it's a machine part. I think it's a manufacturing error, not the design error. I think it's a part that was produced by a supplier in Japan or some other country, but common to both US and Japanese engine plant. So supplying to both engine plant. And I think that it will eventually affect the hybrid. But I'm not 100% sure until we get the data. So
it could affect the Land Cruiser 300, even though it hasn't been
exactly. Yes, it could. Yeah. But it hasn't come up. So that's the puzzling thing, right? That car has been out for a couple of years before Tundra. Is heavily used in Middle East, under some very severe circumstances, and it hasn't come up. I think they had some other issues, but not this one.
I have heard
So
some things about the Land Cruiser in the Middle East having engine issues
did you?
just
Okay.
recently. After there's probably in the comments of my my recall video saying, "Hey, this
Okay.
has been
Okay.
happening in the Middle East," but that's all hearsay. So I
Yeah.
mean, unless
It's
I have someone message me directly on Instagram or something, I don't have any way to confirm that.
yeah.
But
Yeah, so that's all we can say. I think if those for those of you who are worried about this, there's not much we can do, but it's not like the engine is exploding in the middle of a highway, right? So it's gonna stall. It might stall or lose power. But what you have to do, what I can tell you as an engineer, the number one thing you have to look out for is the engine knock. The knocking sound will appear first before the engine begins to shut itself off. So if you hear the knocking sound and you ignore it for a couple of days, then that's when the engine can kind of blow up, or not blow up, but it can stall. So if you hear any kind of knocking sound, stop driving it, take it straight to a dealership. And that is the best advice I can give to avoid the engine failing on the middle of a road. You'll hear the knocking first. So if that's okay with you guys, I'm kind of missing all the questions here. We're gonna move on to different section. Did I miss any questions? I gotta scroll up and down here. I think we're okay with that one. And then there's all this talk about the Japan safety certification, but we'll come back to that one a little bit later. Let's catch up with a question. Maybe Kirk can take. So Land Cruiser or 4Runner, I guess. That's something that which one would you buy?
Land Cruiser.
I think Land Cruiser also. Yeah.
I like the
Although
looks of it. So just from the aesthetics aspect, yes. It might have a little bit more leg room than the 4Runner. I feel like the 4Runner, and I don't have numbers to compare one versus the other, but I feel like the 4Runner felt more like almost like the Tacoma in the backseat, or almost like the 70 series without as much headroom when we were in Japan. So it just felt kind of tight for me in the back of the 4Runner. So
I agree. I like the Land Cruiser design better. We haven't driven the 4Runner, so we can't comment on that. Although I'm tempted, to get something like a 4Runner TRD Pro, because I always had many different TRD Pros. And also keep in mind, Land Cruisers are built in two plants, the Tahara plant, but also at the Hamura plant, which is owned by Hino Motors, which is a subsidiary of Toyota, whereas 4Runner is only built in Tahara. So for some reason, if you're kind of convinced that only Tahara built cars should be the one that you want to buy, then you might want to buy the 4Runner. But other than that, we both like Land Cruiser better, I think. Okay, another question here. Any news about 25 CX30 and CX5s? Have you heard anything yet, Kirk?
CX30 and CX5s, what year? Oh, it's up on the screen. 2025.
Yeah.
I don't think they're getting a redesign for 2025. I think
No,
2026 at the earliest.
Yeah, there was I did hear something about that. There's a confirmation that CX5 will be renewed, like redesigned, so it's not going to be dropped for sure. And so it's not. I'm 100% sure it's not this coming model year, which like Kirk said, could be the following year, 2026 model year. CX30 is not. I don't think so. That's a few years away. That one's not that old yet.
Yeah.
But there should be a CX50 hybrid this year.
CX50 hybrid, yeah, it's supposed to come out this year. We'll have an potentially completely different hybrid for the CX5 hybrid when that gets redesigned. Maybe using less of Toyota's technology, because the CX50 is on record to be using a Toyota hybrid technology. Well, and it's that plant's in Alabama, and in Alabama they make engines and hybrid systems. So they'll be able to put potentially a couple different hybrid powertrains in the CX50 from the 2-liter hybrid that we see in like the Corolla Cross. They could do that. That's even currently being produced there in the same plant with the CX50. But since it's slightly bigger, they could put the 2.5-liter hybrid from Toyota, and maybe they're waiting. David, now it makes sense. Maybe they're waiting for the 5th-gen hybrid system, because we know in the new Camry, it's so good.
It is so good. The new Camry is so good. Yeah, both Kirk and I love that car.
It's one of the best buys on the market.
Yeah, and we can't talk about what's it like compared to another car within Toyota yet. But embargo hasn't lifted for that one
Right.
yet, but we love that car. So, okay, so this is another question for both of us. What would you choose? CX-90, Grand Highlander, Lexus TX, Lincoln Aviator, or Honda Pilot, and why? Oh my goodness, we need 2 hours to explain this one. But right off the bat, which one would you buy for yourself?
Oh man, probably since I got a big family. I haven't tested the Aviator, so I can't even talk about that. So that I'm just going to
Mm,
rule that one out. Got a big family, so for me, it's probably between the Grand Highlander and the Pilot.
mm,
I like the V6 and the Honda Pilot. The AC in it was not very cold when we had it last summer, so I got to rule that one out. Maybe it was just a bad sample, but the Grand Highlander standard hybrid, it's essentially the Sienna minivan. You're going to be able to get 40 miles per gallon where I live. Not that hard. And it has so much space. But if I had a smaller family, it would probably be the CX-90.
mm,
The TX is so close to the Grand Highlander, but costs quite a bit more. It has a hybrid max powertrain as well. So if you need that hybrid max powertrain, I would rather have it in the Grand Highlander and save 10 grand or whatever.
mm.
The TX is a little bit quieter than the Grand Highlander. It's a little bit more refined, but slightly better ride quality. But the Grand Highlander is just a really good value. But if I had a really small family, 2-3 kids, CX-90 is the most fun out of all of them.
Yeah,
Even in the
absolutely.
plug-in hybrid, it's the most fun. It's heavier, but
Yeah.
it's still fun.
Yeah, for me, it's a clear winner. For me, I don't have a big family, so CX-90, which is already pretty roomy to begin with, is not a small
No,
SUV.
it's not small.
In fact, I have a CX-70 this week. I'm driving it now
Oh,
with
wow.
with the inline
You got
six.
it quick.
Yeah. They because I couldn't go to the press event. I was in
Neither
Japan,
could I.
so they
Yeah.
prioritize. I'm the first person to have it in Canada in the press fleet.
Nice. Nice.
So I'm
Congrats.
driving that. So yeah, CX-90 all the way in terms of not just the fact that it's really well built from Japan, but also the handling and the driving feel, the interior. It doesn't have a name
Thank
brand
you.
like Lexus, but beautiful vehicle. And then second, I'm probably I would have picked Grand Highlander. Except I really like the 6-cylinder engine in Honda, so I might say Honda Pilot as a second, but closely aligned with Grand Highlander. But that I really like the Grand Highlander a lot too, and I think it's a better value than the TX. So hopefully that answers that question. I'm curious what you guys would pick, so put that in the comments as well. And then this person asked me a couple of times now about how to take care of a brand new LC 500. Well, congratulations, first of all. Invite us to Dubai. Me, Kirk, and I'll go there.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. But I mean, I would just drive carefully first. This is true for all new cars. First 1,000 miles, drive different speed, not the same speed. So you want the machining, the effect of the engine to affect all RPM. You don't want to drive at 60 miles per hour for 3 hours, for example. So that's one advice. Don't you can step hard, but not full acceleration on these cars. Take it easy for 1,000 miles, and then change the oil after a couple thousand miles. There is actually surprising amount of debris in the first oil change. By the way, people just don't know because they don't do their own oil change. But there's a fair amount of debris, so you want to wash that out quickly. And I would, put graphene or ceramic coating on it, especially if you're in Dubai with the hot sun.
Yes.
Or PPF. People like PPF. I don't like PPF because you could peel the paint off after a few years. But yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. Let me see. Where are we behind? Oh, there's Jamal Cruz. Thank you so much for a super sticker. Appreciate that. If you have a question, let us know. So appreciate that. And maybe Kirk can take another future.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, you know what? This one's a good one. Future of Lexus IS 500. Do you want to take that one?
Yeah. Well, yeah, Dave and I talked about this a little bit yesterday. So Mag X, a pretty good scoop magazine out of Japan. They and I just made a video about this, so you guys are welcome to watch it to look at the scans too. So they have confirmed, again, not Lexus, but they have confirmed that the IS500 will live on for certain markets. So that'd be definitely for Japan, definitely for North America, probably the Middle East too. So that's a lock. They're restyling the front end.
Yeah.
But what's really the thing that I was wrestling with was not the continuation of the V8, is the discontinuation potentially of the V6 or even the base 2-liter turbo.
Yeah, that's right.
That's really because they would replace that with a hybrid, and they've had hybrid ISs in Europe and in Japan and other markets too. We've never seen it in North America. And they would replace it probably with what we see. My guess would be what's in the new Crown sedan.
Yeah,
that's
right.
kind of like a fancy Toyota Mirai.
Mm.
But I just don't know, because that's about 240 horsepower, and then you have on nearly 500 horsepower. So how do you have that big of a gap in a luxury lineup of sedans?
Well, what I heard is the IS500 will carry on in the new facelifted model, so will be separate with the V8 engine. So it'll carry on for a little bit longer until the new IS shows up, and then like Kirk said, the rest of the lineup will be all hybrids with a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated engine hybrid. That's what I heard. But I don't know. Toyota also announced all these new engines, right? 2 liter and 1.5 liter. I think 1.5 wouldn't make it to North American models, but so that 2 liter could be. So this is a bit harder to speculate because Model Magazine X doesn't predict as much as Best Car Magazine. So, but that's what we heard. They're like 99% sure that's what they said. That no V6, no turbocharged 2 liter, just hybrid.
Unless unless they retire the 8AR 2 liter that was also in the NX first generation and come out with the new 2 liter with that thing is supposed to be insane. Better efficiency, better torque, better power than even the 2.4 turbo, which still feels like a brand new engine, but it would supplant that 2.4 in many models.
It's also very compact design, much smaller. So
tiny.
It can fit in a smaller car. Okay, so let's see what else have we missed. We missed a whole bunch of questions. Let me see. You want to pick? Can you see a question? Can you?
Well, you got a couple super chats here.
Oh shoot, I gotta miss that. So I did the 99 cents. I think let's do the green one. Gearheads. How do I bring his question forward? Okay, we're still not. I don't know how to bring his question forward here. But anyway, question is: can we request camera, mirror, and co-pilot rear charging port for IS and RC and sporty steering like Cadillac, and rotary forged wheels from factory? So different accessories. Kirk, any comments on that? See if I can find his
for IS and RC.
For IS and RC, yeah.
I wish I had any sort of answer for you.
Let me see if I can find his question, bring it forward.
Like
here you go.
Camera mirrors.
Here you go. Yeah. Camera mirror.
Would you have to use an aftermarket camera, or could you use? Yeah, you would have to, because you can't use the backup camera for a digital rearview mirror. It has to be higher up. So that's a tough one.
So sorry, what's camera? I think they mean the outside rearview mirror shrunken.
On the side, like the ES.
Is that what they mean? I'm not sure. If that's what Gearhead means, that wouldn't pass North American safety requirements. So it wouldn't show up here for, I don't know, who knows how long. So that's not going to happen. If you're talking about the external side mirrors, and then rear charging ports, they don't usually add additional charging ports until facelift time. So they're not going to do that. Maybe at the next IS facelift, this facelift they're talking about in a year and a half. But otherwise, honestly, you can just do it yourself. It's so easy to add additional ports using just extended extension cord, but
it's like a long cable,
like a USB hub sort of thing. So you can do that.
David, did you want to talk on maybe the future of the RC, since he brought up the RC?
Sure. Yeah. So let me just scroll back to some other question here. I don't know how to turn this off now. Okay. Anyway, so future of RC. Yeah. So when is the last LC and RC? Well, what we are hearing from Japan is that 2025, I think, this is my guess, 2025 model year will be the last year for both LC and RC. Maybe RC will carry on for a little bit longer, but LC, because LC has a separate factory and therefore it's very costly. So I think it will probably be last year at the same time as IS 500's last year, in a sense that they both are using the same V8 engine, and when it's no longer produced for one car, they're gonna shut that line down. So my guess is that 2025 year is model year is the last year, maybe 2026, but I'm pretty sure 25, and then 2 years later, RC and LC are supposed to get combined together for a model that's in between in terms of performance, in between in terms of size. We've seen some rendering from Best Car Magazine. There's supposed to be a turbocharged engine. I think they said V6 turbocharged engine, if I recall
Yeah, but
correctly,
with that
right?
new engine announcement, more than
Mm.
likely it would be that 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo with
Mm-hmm.
some hybridization. But what's interesting in the news right now, was it the top of the line E-Class? I'm trying to think. Some AMG model that was going to have a plug-in hybrid 4-cylinder. The demand on it was so poor that they went back to a V8, twin turbo V8. I don't know if you saw that headline.
Yeah. So there's. Do you want to just talk about that one for a bit more?
The combination coupe that's
Mm.
merging the LC and the RC.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You don't need to have multiple coupes in your lineup, especially for Lexus and how I see it. The RC has sold so poorly lately. It really shouldn't even be. I mean, yes, I love RCF, but it's just too expensive. And they never made that V8 available like the IS 500 in a slightly less expensive package, which was also kind of unfortunate. Um, the RC got a refresh in 2019, and it's not really anything since. The LC, we all want the LC to live on forever. It's like it's the best Lexus in the lineup, and it's the best Lexus maybe since like the LFA, obviously, but maybe since the LS 430 or something. It's going to be tough to see that one go, because that is one of the vehicles that exudes the original spirit of Lexus. Crazy quality, really good design, bulletproof reliability, and a product that you can't find in the competition, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I love the LC 500. I hardly drive
Well,
it
you
just
have
because.
one, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, I'm not here often, so I don't get to drive it very often. But it's a different feel from driving like 911 or some other sports car. Like, it's definitely a grand touring car, not a true sports car, in the sense that the handling is good,
right.
but it's a little bit mushy. But if I were to take a sportier car along the coast of California or something for a month travel, that's the car I would take. It's just ideal for that. It's just so comfortable and quiet. It's almost too good for a sports car. And yeah, so that's will be a sad day when that gets canceled, but it will happen eventually, I think, very soon, next couple of years.
Yeah.
Quick shout out to Still in
SoCal?
South Cal for $5 for super sticker. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. And then there's some other questions. I don't know if you can see them or not. There's some kind of recall on
What's
the
the latest
Prius.
on the Prius door
Yeah,
latch
you
recall?
want to talk
Still
about
on a
that one?
stop sale. I don't know when that stop sale is going to end, and Prius sales volume is down globally as a result. So the recall's still in effect. So I don't know when. I mean, it's so disappointing, because the Prius was already short in supply because of the new redesign. It's a fantastic car. Especially the Prius Prime, if you can find one. But the problem is now it's just unobtainable. I think there was 6 within 150 miles, and I don't even know if they were in stock for me, and like in stock at the dealership. So
yeah. So it's I think that's a good segue to just talk about the fact that I know we already talked about the Tundra recall. You kind of have to remember that there's recalls all the time. And
Hmm.
if you go back years ago, the first Tundra, the first Tacoma, the first facelifted Tacoma, there was multiple issues with multiple recalls. My Lexus LC had 2 recalls already. It's
I'll see.
minor, like camera adjustment or some kind of software update, but and this car hasn't changed for years, right?
Hmm.
So there's always recalls, and this is
Hmm.
always a precautionary preempting action by
Hmm.
Toyota to prevent it from becoming a real problem. So even though we're all very concerned about Tundra, and I am too, Kirk and I'm both gonna be closely monitoring it.
Hmm.
Don't get too scared about recalls in general, which is, again, it's a volunteer recall. It doesn't mean that every car is affected. And then it often turns out to be a very minor thing. It just, in a sense that it only affected a very small percentage of cars, and the fix is straightforward. We
Hmm.
haven't seen catastrophic recalls yet too much. I don't quite classify that Tundra engine problem as a catastrophic yet, in the sense that, the whole car is not burning up or something like that. So, um, anyway, so that's just a quick
Hmm.
comment about that. Also, let me see. Am I missing something here? I think Elizabeth said hi, so thank you for that. She's always making comment on our um, programs. So that's Elizabeth White, and then what else is happening? So
We
that's
do V Brenner. We have reviews coming out on Thursday. Yes, that is Crown Signia, 7 a.m.
mm,
Eastern time. So that's what, 4 a.m. your time?
I think so. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. It's at 4 a.m. Yes, yeah. Mine's ready to go. Is yours ready to go?
I got one of my videos up right before we started.
Okay,
And then
okay,
I have
nice.
because I have two videos, one on the XLE and one on
Mm.
the limited. At our drive, you did the same event. You just
I
said
did the
you
same
were in a
event,
different
yeah.
wave.
But I only have one review on the
Okay,
crown
right.
Signia. Yeah.
And there was only, let's say there was 10 Crown Signias there, only one of them was XLE. So I'll have
Mm.
video go up first because I know most outlets are not even going to cover that. So
Yeah, that's good for you. I always take my hats off to Kirk, who can cover like so many videos. I'm doing like 2 videos at the show, and then he's already done 10. So
yeah, compared to Toyota Jeff, he'll do like 30 compared to my 10. So
well, it's good. That's why it's good to be at Tokyo Show with Kirk, because he'll make sure that I'm up on what we call takt time, which is a Toyota production system term, to stay on takt. So you stay on
I'm
a
pretty sure it was
particular
your
schedule.
it was you and your assistants that were keeping us on schedule.
That too. Yeah, 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 yeah. That was a fun show. So yeah, I mean, what else? So I guess we can talk a little bit about the news from Japan about so-called cheating certification. I want to talk about that just a little bit, Kirk.
Yeah.
So just to clarify again, stay with the facts. People have to stay with the facts. Less emotion is better when it comes to these kind of stuff. And the most important thing is that none of these cars, first of all, are sold in North America right now. So first of all, we're not affected by these models,
No.
uh, because the cars that are currently in production that they have to stop
Yeah.
producing right now, those are Japan only models. And then the only car that's even remotely close to what we have here is a RX that's produced in Fukuoka plant, but that's from 2015
15, I think.
or something like that. And
Yeah.
that's not the one that we were getting, because the one we're getting was produced in North America. So that's
Right.
one thing out of the way. Second thing is that I take a real cautionary approach to the word cheating or fraudulent, because what basically happened in summary is that when you're designing a vehicle, you do a bunch of testing. Usually, the testing are based on Toyota standard, which is much more stringent and more difficult than what the government is asking you to do. So you take a bumper and you do a crash testing, or you do a emission test, and you do your own test, and then your test results show everything is fine, or you passed the standard that you've set. And then you do a separate test just based on government, because government have a specific way they want you to test your condition. And then if you pass that, then you submit that data and you get certified for that particular issue or particular segment of the testing. So that's how it works. But what happens is that during the product development, Toyota will do a test that's more difficult than what the government has asked for. And then they submitted those data instead of the simpler, easier easier to pass testing, thinking that a more difficult test surely would be acceptable. But from a Japanese government's perspective, which is a national transportation group, you didn't submit the correct data. It doesn't matter what data you gave me; it's still not what we asked for. Therefore, it's non-compliance, and therefore you're in trouble. Basically, is not fraudulently trying to over cheat the safety. Like if they didn't meet the safety requirement and they tried to cheat it to make it look like if it's passed, that's fraudulent. But in this particular case, the most recent case, that is not what's happening. So, for example, one example is they did crash testing on both left and the right side of the frontal impact. They only submitted the data on the right side, but somehow failed to submit the data on the left side, on the passenger side. Was that a human error? Probably, or some kind of administrative error. But the data was still there, and it did pass the actual requirement, so it's not a safety concern. But government again said you're missing a data, and therefore is cheating. It's not cheating if you actually passed the test but didn't submit the data. So I want to make that very clear that I reviewed every single one of the certification errors, or they call it mishaps. They just announced it yesterday. I think all the details. I went through all of them, and there's not a single one that I would classify as fraudulent or cheating. So the best example I can give is, let's say I ask you to take a coffee cup, and I said drop it at 3 foot level. You drop it, make sure it doesn't break. Okay, so it doesn't break at 3 foot level. But actually, what Toyota did is dropped it at 5 foot level, much higher, even more difficult. It should break, but it didn't break. So the coffee cup didn't break at 5 foot level. Therefore, it shouldn't have not broken at 3 foot level, which is lower. I submit the data for the 5 foot test, and the government said you failed because you didn't submit data for the 3 foot test, right? So in many cases, they did something more stringent, more difficult. They passed it, but they failed to submit the data that was requested by the government, and therefore it's called non-compliance. And that is basically what's happened in a nutshell. So, all this media, I think, blowing it out of proportion, calling it fraudulent activity, safety is affected. No, it's not. None of these cars have failed.
No, none of them have been recalled, to my understanding. And all of the press releases have said these cars do not infringe upon the safety of the occupants or the other people around the vehicle. Exactly, they're safe to drive. So it's, of course, like we like talking about it because anything Toyota related does well for our channel or channels. And anything Toyota in the headlines gets clicks anywhere.
Yeah.
What's crazy is that they put on YouTube about an hour and a half long press conference going over this because it's very, and the Japanese culture, far better than me. So you were born and raised in that culture, but it's very shameful to not do things as you're supposed to be doing them.
Yeah.
And even though on the Western end, we see this, once we look into it, we realize like this, one, it doesn't affect any of our vehicles. And two, the vehicles, it doesn't change anything in terms of their safety. So to me, I see that and I'm like, this is nothing. Why is this even in the headlines?
Yeah, exactly. It's not worth a headline, to be honest.
It's not. Yeah, no, from our perspective, especially the Western perspective. But yeah, over there. Now this is taking things maybe a little bit more political. I was reading through the comments this morning on the video that I posted, and it said, hey, there are certain parties that are a little bit more leaning towards a certain nearby country that are trying to take down the Japanese autos so that maybe the imported cars have a better shot at competing in the Japanese market against the domestic models. I'm like, well, I've never thought of that. And that's of course a possibility, but there's always political things, right? We're just the little peanuts at the bottom, but like the politics are still involved in all this, even in the media, right? That's why the media pushes this out. Why so much? Well, one, for money, but two, is there a political reason behind trying to deface Toyota, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I think
and
you're right.
It wasn't just Toyota this time. That's the crazy thing. They threw in Mazda, Suzuki, Honda, Yamaha, and all of these vehicles are still safe.
Yeah, still safe. Yeah, I think one of them was kind of almost laughable. I think was Honda. It was sound test
Yeah, the
data
sound
error.
testing.
I
Yeah,
think they submitted the wrong data. They test the noise level in the car. I mean, come on.
yeah,
I mean, that kind of error happens all the time in product testing and product vehicle
for
testing.
sure.
The only reason why it's in news is because the wrong data was submitted to the government for certification purposes. Within these companies, they would, redo the test over and over again until it's correct. And if one data was a little bit corrupted or wrong data was submitted, then it's a big deal. In fact, I was interviewed by CTV News, which is a national news television yesterday about this, and so they put a short clip of my comment, and I said this is more of a human error, not trying to be fraudulent. But when the news anchor first talked about it, they said Toyota is in trouble for doing fraudulent safety testing, and actually that's not the case at all. So. But yes, I don't know if people can understand that. You don't need to worry about performance or safety of these cars. They're not sold here anyway. It doesn't detract in any form or shape from the branding that all the reliability that they already built up. It's just a wrong data submitted for certification purposes
Hmm.
for some
Yeah.
part of a government required thing. So
Hmm. And the thing
not a
is,
big
like,
not a
if
big
this
deal.
if this sort of thing happens in Germany, which I'm sure it does with
I'm
Volkswagen or
100% sure
Audi,
it happens all the
it's
time.
not going to make
It won't
headlines.
make headline. Yeah,
So
and
it's just, I
yeah,
think it's because, Toyota is on this, golden throne of, and the other Japanese automakers are on this golden throne of they can do no wrong. They build reliable, perfectly
yeah,
built cars. And it's like, oh, here's an opportunity for us to tear down the ones on top.
exactly. Yeah,
That's what I think is what's going on here a little bit, but it's a, like I said, there's nothing. It's like, move along, please. There's nothing
yeah,
to see here.
exactly. Yeah, this is not like the Volkswagen's Dieselgate where they purposely designed and created a cheating device to put on the car so that the car would perform differently while testing, and it
That
removed
was
it.
Hino though for Toyota.
Hino did that a little bit of that. So yeah,
Yeah.
Hino's not off the hook. I agree.
You're right. Nor
Um,
well, and we talked about this just briefly yesterday. It's like this is making bigger headlines. Don't know why, but it's making bigger headline. Maybe it's because it's the compound effect of Toyota the
mm,
last few years of
yeah,
them, maybe not doing things the way they're supposed to. But we agreed yesterday that the Daihatsu collision testing cheating is a huge
that's a big
issue
deal. That one is a
where
big deal.
people's lives are potentially endangered from side impacts
Yeah, yeah,
since 1989. And
yeah,
not every single, but almost every single model from Daihatsu.
yeah. That
It's
one is a much
crazy.
much bigger deal. Daihatsu and Hino. Yeah, unfortunately, they're both affiliated with Toyota because Toyota owns certain percentage of those models, so
Yes.
the Toyota gets the hit. But it's just to clear, it's a separate company. It's not a
Hmm.
division of a Toyota. They're
Hmm.
separate companies. Having said that, the new Land Cruiser is built at the Hino plant.
Hmm.
Part of it is built in Hino plant in Hamura. So some people are not a little bit upset about receiving a Land Cruiser that's built there versus the Tahara plant. So
Hmm.
don't worry. They do that all the time. They switch plants all the time, and
Hmm.
they're both good plants. But okay, so let me take one more question. Mark A. Have I decided which car am I getting, Land Cruiser 250 or Lexus GX 550? Well, I'm still leaning toward GX. I do have a deposit on Land Cruiser 250 first edition, but I don't know. I'm almost at a point where I might not buy either one of these models, not because of the recall, but I don't know. I'm not sure what to do now because I think the TRD John has already purchased the Land Cruiser 250 first edition, so he can continue to talk about that one, and that means I would have preferred to buy the GX 550 since no YouTuber has purchased it yet, and that could happen next couple of months. But I'm not sure. I really want a used Lexus LX 570 with V8. I'm still looking
So
for
good.
one. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
still looking for low
Yeah.
mileage one. So if I find out first before either one of these become available for my allocation, then I'm buying that instead. I'm buying up all the V8 cars I can.
Yeah. We talk like currently there's one one vehicle that is of the same ilk on sale, which is the Armada and QX80.
Yes, yeah.
You and I both love
We love
those
those cars.
vehicles.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially the Armada, because I think it's a platinum trim. It's essentially QX80 without the Infinity badge.
exactly. Yeah.
It's a better buy, but it's
Mm.
just it's so
It's
smooth,
really,
so
really
good,
good. Yeah.
so
Yeah,
good.
that's a good point because I can get a QX80, like a brand new one, for like $20,000 off right now.
Yeah,
Because the new model has been announced, and so that's also the last year of V8, and I can get it with a full warranty. It might not be as reliable as the LX over the course of, who knows, 20 years, but if I'm going to keep it for, let's say, 10 years, that definitely would be one car I would consider buying. But
so good.
I probably wouldn't be very popular in my channel if I bought an Infinity, but doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
that's
I
it's
like
like
that
it,
car.
that's my favorite Infinity vehicle right
Yeah,
now, and it has been for a
definitely.
long
Yeah,
time. But the problem is there's the Armada. You get the same car and the Nissan badge.
that's
Yeah,
true.
we could have a whole live stream on just Infinity right now, but let's
Mm.
let's not. Here's a good question. V Brenner, is it okay if I take a
Yeah,
question?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, is Levinson audio worth the extra money?
Mm.
It's
Good
hit or
question.
miss.
It's hit
It's
or miss.
not
Yeah.
always like A plus quality in every single model. It varies. So I'm going to, I mean, for example, like it's typically pretty good in like the LX and the LS. I don't think it's standard in those models if I remember right.
Mm.
I'm trying to think. I don't think it is, but I could be wrong. I know in the LC it is standard and it is amazing. And
Yeah.
it's amazing in the LC. But the NX, it's not that great in the NX and the RZ. It's okay.
Mhm.
The UX, you can't even get the Mark Lev and the UX in
No,
the
you
United
can't.
States
Yeah.
that I know of. Yeah, it's just here's
It
my recommendation. My friend Charlie, a Daily Motor, he reviews sound systems and in audio in automobiles. So make sure to check out his channel, Daily Motor, and you might be able to find what you're looking for. And he'll either say, "Hey, I recommend it," maybe not, sort of thing. So he's a much better source for
mm.
that.
Yeah, my take on it is that, like Kirk said, it depends on the model. On some cars, especially newer models, the base stereo system has improved.
It's really good. Yeah.
So yeah, so for example, in my let me see like when I had the GX, it sounded pretty good because the GX Black Edition doesn't have Mark Levinson in Canada anyway. But on some other models with the Mark Levinson, it's not so good. So on the LC, actually, it's not quite as good as I thought, but that might be a little bit due to the compartment size and stuff. Sometimes it's hard to tune these audio system for smaller cabin.
Yep.
But the funny thing is, one of the best sound system I have is in my 2004 Lexus SC 430. That one has a Mark Levinson. It sounds fantastic, like better than my LC. How is that possible on those 20-year-old Lexus model, and it still sounds fantastic? So I don't know. I feel like the base units are getting better,
They
and
are.
then the
Yep.
Mark Levinson in today's age, somehow it doesn't sound as good as some of the older models. I don't know if they're going cheaping out on the speakers system, but
Yeah, I don't know.
that's my feeling these
Yeah.
days.
Even in Toyotas nowadays, like the JBL is hit or miss depending on the model, but
Yeah.
I'm always surprised. Like Mike from the Right Lane Hog, he brings up the Camry LE. I tried the sound system on the Camry LE. I'm like, I could easily live with this. This is
Mhm.
pretty decent. Yes, I think it was mainly sound coming out the front, but hey, you can get a Mark Levinson system like in the ES, and like 90% of the sound seems like it comes from the front. So I remember growing up for me in the 90s, it was all about getting the 6x9 woofers and the extra subwoofers. But if you didn't want to put in an amplifier aftermarket stuff, you could swap out the 6x9s in the back of the car, and those things pump out good bass, good sound. You get nice tweeters in them as well. And that was the name of the game. Nowadays, finding a 6x9 in the back of a new car, it's hard to
Mm.
find that sort of sound output. It's all
Yeah.
featured in the front with
Yeah.
tons of speakers instead of one really nice speaker.
It's true. Yeah, I think that the design of an audio system have changed over the years.
Mhm.
The other thing to keep in mind is that if you're buying a base unit and you have access to a good audiophile technicians nearby,
Mhm.
you know what? You don't have to change the whole thing. Just change a
Mhm.
couple of speakers, and sometimes it makes a huge difference. So I
Mhm.
did that on 2019 Tacoma TRD Pro. I changed the front speakers on the dash,
Mhm.
like $150 ones, and it dramatically changed the
Oh,
sound
yeah.
quality.
Mhm.
I did the same thing on the 2019 400 TRD Pro I had, which didn't have a JBL system at that time. I also changed the front dash speakers. Again, a huge difference. So
Mhm.
sometimes you just have to play with a few speakers here and there, and you could have a sound system that's quite phenomenal.
Mhm.
So um, I think for us here in Canada, we can't choose a Mark Levinson by itself as an option. It's always packaged with something else. So
Oh, I see.
yeah, so if you wanna pick the package and which includes Mark Levinson and you want all that stuff in the package, then go for it. If it's just a Mark Levinson by itself, then you might not need to. The base units are pretty good these days.
They're really good, especially on
Yeah.
Lexus. Their
Yeah.
base systems are fantastic.
Right. So what else do we have? Mike loves to talk about the past. So he always talks about the past models. FJ Cruiser was built by Hino. Yeah, actually for quite a long time. At one point, T100 was built there. That is quite true. All right. Any other questions, guys? We're past 1 hour mark. We're okay to stay for a few more minutes. Here's another question. Opposite end question. What to get, LC500 or LX600? Wow, that's a two totally different thing. Can only afford one of them. Well, it just depends on whether you need to haul anything. Like, do you need to carry passengers or cargo? Then
Mhm.
then you've already answered your question. But if you're by yourself or just two of you and you don't need to worry about carrying things, or you have an access to other cars that will allow you to carry stuff when you have to buy a big thing from Home Depot, then of course LC500 for the same price.
Yeah.
Yeah, get,
Here's the thing.
get it while
Maybe
you
you
can.
get a gently used or certified LC500, and if you just get a old Highlander or something, or a Pilot or whatever, if you need to move people around, because the LC500 is a vehicle, if you can afford, you don't want to miss out on.
You don't want to miss out.
It's a
Yeah,
masterpiece of engineering and design.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, nothing wrong with the LX600, but LC500 is a masterpiece, and you gotta buy that before it's gone for good. All right, we talked about the Tundra and Lexus LX thing already, so we're not going to go through that. So go back once we finish the live stream, you can go back and watch the previous section. But just to answer that question, I do think I shouldn't say this. I should be careful about this. But from my perspective as an engineer, I think this problem could spread to other engines because they're using the same block, same engine components. So that would be my guess, but it's hard to say. Maybe they'll solve this problem quickly, and they can apply this simple solution to other cars like a GX. And who knows? We're not quite sure about that one yet. We'll have to wait tomorrow for more data. Okay. When am I doing a live stream with Ahmed? Very soon, probably sometime. We've been talking about it for a little while. He's pretty busy, and so am I. We spoke yesterday, for example, about a whole bunch of different things, and I still haven't met the guy. I met Kirk, a few times now. I've met Toyota Jeff and TRD John, all the TFL guys at a variety of different events, but one person I still haven't met is Ahmed. So I gotta find a way to get to Chicago, then hop onto plane to go visit Kirk in Florida. So that's still on my to-do list somehow. I gotta get that sorted out. All right. Anything else you want to cover, Kirk?
Mm, I'm okay with packing it up here.
Mm,
It's like I always, as the former consultant in me, I see Soul asking about uh, recommending a CRV Sport or wait for the 2025 RAV4. There's nothing different with the 2025 RAV4. The redesign will be for 2026 more than likely.
mm,
Um, in the meantime, either or both fantastic. I really like the hybrids of both of those over the non-hybrid models.
Mhm.
You currently have an ES, an 04 ES on our last limb. That could be, is that an ES 330 still at that point? They only made the ES
Probably.
330 for a couple of years.
Mm. I
Yeah.
would. I mean, we have a CRV, a RAV4, two of them, but I like the driving feel of the Honda
Oh
CRV
yeah.
better.
Hmm.
So I mean, the best way to answer this question is go and drive the Honda CRV, test drive the exact one you want to buy, then the RAV4, then go back to CRV, like drive it on the same day, back to back, and you would answer your own question. You would know
Hmm.
right away which one you like
Hmm.
better. I think the reliability is on par, about
Hmm.
the same. Price is almost similar. Resale value about the same. Yeah, I know that you guys might think I'm always a Toyota person, but in this case, I like the Honda CRV better.
Hmm. Yeah, I like the front sport model, the sport hybrid, the front wheel drive sport hybrid. A little bit better fuel economy. Um, and the price is really, really solid on that CRV sport hybrid.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. Thank you. So one more last question. Next model reveal, what would it be? That's a good question. So I think they might show something at the new Japan mobility show in Japan in November. I think that will be the Land Cruiser FJ or whatever the name is going to be. That's my prediction. And then in January of 2025 at the Tokyo Auto Salon, I think they might show a concept car to do with performance related things. So maybe the LFR2 or something, or LCRC combined model. I'm not sure. It might be a bit too early for that. Something like that, I think. What do you think, Kirk?
Yeah, I think we might get an announcement maybe by the end of this summer on something. What that something is, I don't know. I don't know if it's a sports car or maybe a special edition sports car. I'm not quite sure. But I think, Toyota's proven the last 2 years anyways, that they like doing big reveals at the LA Auto Show. 2 years ago, it
Mhm.
was the Prius. Last year, it was the Camry and maybe another vehicle as well. Was it I don't know. I'm trying to think here. But I'm almost positive the RAV4 redesign will be revealed again in LA.
Mhm.
So that's late October, November timeframe, something like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, that's very possible. I agree. Yeah, so there could be some simultaneous reveal both on the US side
Oh,
and
the Crown
Japan side.
Signia was revealed with the
There.
Camry at the same time.
Mhm.
That's what it was. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Maybe who knows? Maybe Crown Sport could show up, that, or
Crown
Crown
Sport and
Sedan.
RAV4, that would set the world
Maybe.
on fire here.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Or Crown Sedan, maybe even.
Don't
Don't get
don't
into
tempt
that.
me, David. Don't do it.
We both love the Crown Sedan.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
Yeah. Well, we saw it in Japan. It was a beautiful vehicle that it's unfortunate it only comes with a little 2.5 liter hybrid, but it's so pretty. And that's kind of like you'll see with probably our reviews with the Crown Signia. It's
Mhm.
such a beautiful car that you can forgive it of any of its maybe shortcomings.
Mhm.
So,
Yes, yeah, yeah, and you guys will find out very soon
mhm,
when we publish the review, I should say. All right, guys, I think we're being at it for, believe it or not, hour and 15 minutes. So that's quite long.
that's all. Yeah.
We definitely should do this more often. I do agree.
Mhm.
So we apologize for not doing it earlier. So and then maybe next time we'll do on the weekend when there's more people available. But quite a few people came in and made comments. So thank you for all of you guys who's been with us. We're happy to answer some questions. And keep an eye on our channel. Both Kirk and I've got some interesting stuff coming. Always, Kirk is the mastermind here. He can put a video up once or twice a day. I can't keep up with that, but I will also put some videos, a little bit more videos about Japan. I'm not quite finished with all the stuff from Japan. Tahara plant was just amazing visit. I loved it. I'm going back there. I'm hoping to go back there in November to visit the Forerunner and Land Cruiser side, which is a separate building. I'm really hoping to do that. So maybe I'll be able to bring one more factory tour. If you haven't seen that video, please take a look. It's quite a fun I even had a lunch at the employee cafeteria, which I understand is the first time for media to do that. So take a look at some more videos. Go and look at Kirk for latest news. He's better at keeping at it up to date than me. So yeah, keep both of us in your mind. And if you haven't subscribed, please, and come back for more live stream. All right. For now, we're gonna say goodbye. Peace out,
Thanks
guys.
for coming out, guys. See ya.
Yeah, take care.